Growing older often feels like society begins to ignore you. But what if the opposite were true? According to many wise elders who've lived long, meaningful lives, turning 80 doesn't mean fading into the background. In fact, it may be the very moment when people begin to respect you more than ever before. Not out of pity, but out of genuine admiration. In this video, we'll uncover the 4 most powerful reasons why people respect you more after 80, according to the lived experiences and insights of elders who've walked the long road of life and come out stronger, wiser, and more dignified. If you're approaching 80 or have already crossed it, this video is for you. If you're younger, then let this be a glimpse into what true respect in later life can look like. Let's begin. White heavy checkmark reason number 1. You become a living library of wisdom. When you turn 80, you've seen the world change more than any textbook or internet article ever could. You've lived through wars, peace, revolutions, and reinventions. You've seen politics rise and fall, fashion trends repeat, and technology go from radios to AI robots. Wise elders say that after 80, people stop seeing you just as an old person and start recognizing you as a living library, a walking, talking archive of history and life. Small blue diamond, your stories are more than entertainment, they're lessons. You don't just tell stories from the good old days. Your stories hold valuable moral, emotional, and cultural lessons. Younger people begin to lean in more, not because they're curious, but because they're searching for something the internet can't teach them: lived truth. Imagine a 25-year-old asking you how to handle betrayal, and you recall how you forgave someone who hurt you 40 years ago. That hits differently. Small blue diamond, you've seen patterns that others miss. At 80, you've seen how human behavior works across time. You know what drives people, what fails, and what lasts. This deep understanding makes people respect your opinions, especially when they're struggling. For example, you may say, "Trust is like a cup. Once it cracks, even if glued back, the lines remain." That kind of metaphor, rooted in truth, commands attention. Small blue diamond, people seek you out for guidance. Unlike in your 60s or 70s when you may have felt invisible, something shifts after 80. People come back to you. Grandchildren, old friends, neighbors, even your own adult children start consulting you about decisions they once thought you were too old to understand. They realize you don't just give answers. You ask the right questions. White heavy checkmark reason number 2. You become emotionally untouchable. At 80, you don't get rattled easily. You've cried your tears, buried your fears, and seen life from both mountaintops and valleys. This emotional stability gives off something rare and magnetic: calm power. Small blue diamond, you no longer need to prove yourself. Respect often comes from the absence of ego. When you no longer feel the need to be right, compete, or argue over petty things, you begin to radiate quiet authority. At 80, you've already proven your worth. You don't need medals, promotions, or applause anymore. People around you start noticing how grounded you are. While the world is constantly chasing validation, you stand firm, unbothered. Small blue diamond, you handle conflict with dignity. Younger people get into heated arguments. At 80, you know better. Instead of raising your voice, you raise your standards. Instead of reacting in anger, you respond with wisdom. This maturity earns more respect than any loud rant ever could. Wise elders say, at 80, you realize peace is more precious than being right. Small blue diamond, you radiate grace and forgiveness. Another reason you command respect is your ability to forgive, not out of weakness, but out of strength. Forgiveness at 80 means you've lived enough life to understand the burden of resentment. When others see you forgiving someone who wronged you decades ago, they begin to see what emotional power really looks like. White heavy checkmark reason number 3. You're the last of a dying breed. Let's be honest. Very few people make it to 80 with their dignity, memory, health, and values intact. If you have, you're already in rare company. That alone inspires deep respect. Small blue diamond, you represent a generation of values. You come from a time when handshakes mattered, loyalty wasn't negotiable, and respect was earned, not demanded. People begin to look at you as a reminder of a world that was slower, simpler, and more grounded. In an era full of shortcuts and shallow attention spans, you represent depth. Even your opinions hold more weight. When an 80-year-old says, "I've seen this kind of mistake before," people listen. Because they know you're not guessing, you've lived it. Small blue diamond, you remain strong while others fade. Let's not sugarcoat it. Many people in their 80s fade into silence. But if you're still mentally sharp, socially active, or emotionally alert, you stand out like a lighthouse. This resilience commands respect. You're the elder at the table who still makes jokes, still shares wisdom, still walks with pride. That vitality turns heads. You're no longer competing with the young. You're outlasting them. Small blue diamond, you embody rare strength. You've survived heartbreak, loss, financial setbacks, health scares, and societal shifts. The fact that you're still standing speaks volumes. You become a symbol of survival, and that makes people admire you, even if they don't always say it out loud. White heavy checkmark reason number 4, you have nothing left to hide, so you speak truth. The final and perhaps most powerful reason people respect you more after 80 is this. You've shed all pretenses. You've dropped the masks. You speak with unfiltered honesty, and that makes you powerful. Small blue diamond, you speak your mind without fear. When you're 40, you worry what others think. When you're 60, you try to be diplomatic. But when you're 80, you say what needs to be said. This courage to speak truth, whether it's uncomfortable or not, commands instant respect. People may not always like your opinions, but they admire your honesty. A wise elder once said, "At 80, you no longer sugarcoat life. You hand it to people raw, and they thank you for it later." Small blue diamond, you advocate for what matters. You no longer argue about trends or gossip. You talk about purpose, legacy, health, forgiveness, and love. Your focus becomes deeper, and when you speak, your words often echo for days in other people's minds. You may say something like, "Don't waste your life proving yourself to people who'll forget you the moment you fall." That kind of truth? It's unforgettable. Small blue diamond, your honesty is free of ego. At 80, you don't speak the truth to hurt others or elevate yourself. You speak it to liberate. This is why people respect you. You become a mirror, reflecting what others are too scared to face. You're not playing the game anymore. And that, ironically, makes everyone around you want to listen more carefully. Endero conclusion. The crown of 80 isn't gray hair, it's the power of your presence. If you've turned 80 or are approaching it, know this. You wear an invisible crown. Not everyone can see it, but those who do, they bow their heads in silent admiration. You've become a symbol of wisdom, calmness, endurance, and truth. Yes, your body may have aged. Your skin may be wrinkled, but your soul, your spirit, it glows with the light of decades well lived. So walk tall, speak boldly, rest calmly, because people may not always say it out loud, but deep down, they respect you more now than ever before. Bell, like, share, and subscribe if you believe aging is not a curse, but a crown earned with years of courage.